In the world of films, how a failed propaganda becomes timeless masterpiece. What makes a cinema? What separates the collection of moving images from something truly cinematic? Today I'm gonna review a film that is man with the movie camera, which is cherished by all the cinephilia or film enthusiasts. The film is directed and written by Dziga Vertov, who loved experimenting realism and hated fiction. He invented Cine or Kinoai method. He belonged to a movement of filmmakers known as the Kinoks or Kinok group of Russia. They were against Hollywood and the fantasy world it created in their films. They believed that film had to show reality and not fantasy. Portraying a current and realistic world through film was his main goal, which is why Vertov and the other cameramen were seen in a few scenes throughout the film. The camera was not only a tool, but a part of the cameraman's body. Dziga Vertov's Man with the Movie Camera was produced by the film studio Vivku, and it was filmed by Vertov's brother Mikhail Kaufman, who was also the cinematographer. The film was edited by Vertov's wife, Yelizaveta Zilova. It's a 1929 Soviet silent documentary film that presents urban life in Moscow and the Ukrainian cities of Kiev and Odisha during the late 1920s. The film was made without the help of intertitles and without the help of actors, scenario, and theater. It was filmed over a period of about 3 years. The shooting locations were 3 Soviet cities: Kiev, Kharkiv, and Odisha. We can get the concept of the film by its title, that how a man travels around the city with a camera slung over his shoulder, documenting urban life with dazzling inventions. A revolutionary experiment in cinema, Dziga Vertov's The Man with the Movie Camera begins with a prologue that explains that the director is attempting to stretch the boundaries of the cinematic medium, trying to achieve a total separation from the language of literature and theater. It accomplishes this by throwing out conventional storytelling and taking a non-narrative approach. The film was noted for introducing all sorts of camera techniques even used today, from double exposures to playing with fast and slow motion, freeze frames, jump cuts, split screens, close-up, stop-motion animation, and even more. The film had an average shot length of 2.3 seconds, whereas films produced in that era usually had an ASL of 11.2 seconds. Vertov discovered a new style that was specifically cinematic. He believed movies could move with the speed of our minds when we are free associating, or with the speed of a passionate musical composition. Vertov filmed numerous of hours of film, not intentionally thinking to use it for a project. He experimented with different types of cinematic shots, which were his purely avant-garde. Rejecting conventional plot and mainstream ideas, making something great even in that era with less advantages, make it one of the best experimental films that we still cherish to learn filmmaking and gain knowledge of film revelations. Basically, the entire film consists of different series of shots that illuminate day-to-day life in Moscow and Odisha. We can also learn about the culture and lifestyle of people from that era from this masterpiece documentary. The first thing we see is a projectionist treating film through the spools of a projector. An audience pours into the movie theater as the seats magically flip out. This style's movement establishes a sense of choreography that will frequently reoccur. The projector comes to life and images appear on the movie screen. Now we see the details of a woman's bedroom. The camera starts by focusing on her window, then moving inside. The woman herself rests in her bed. Then we gradually move outside to see the world in a seemingly frozen state. Streets are empty, the parks and benches are unpopulated, telephones are silent, and the wheels and gears of the factory remain still. More people are seen resting in their beds. Then a solitary car moves out onto the street with a cameraman pushing it. As if the filmmaker was signaling the start of the day, the city comes alive. The woman wakes up, begins washing herself and attending to her appearance, and flickers the shades to her window. Intercut with these are the images of trolley cars leaving their stations and moving about in synchronized motion, as well as people arriving at factories to begin labor. The gears that were previously silent begin to shift and churn, and they grow more and more rapid in movement as the film progresses. They make the working hours of the day seem all the more hectic. Another interesting aspect of Vertov's editing is the way he contrasts the upper-class members of society with the lower class. One scenario involves the residents of a barber shop. Women get their hair primed while men sharpen razor blades for shaving. This is intercut with images of workers in a factory. Women get their hair dirtied as they shovel coal, while men sharpen axes for chopping. Although the film has no actor, we can see Kaufman and Slova in some parts of the film. Here in this shot, we can see Mikhail Kaufman acts as a cameraman, risking his life in search of the best shot. Kaufman also appears as the eponymous man of the film. Yelizaveta Slova was shown here, seated at her editing table, splicing images together immediately. This film is within a film indeed. Vertov's movie also uses countless cinematic metaphors in it. A man with a movie camera visual metaphors are made by early film techniques, use pacing and frame cuts to help the narrative. This was shown in the beginning of the movie when a woman blinks her eyes. The film cuts to the blinds on the windows opening and closing, syncing up with her. Another example is when a funeral is shown right before a mother birthing a baby, and a divorce is shown right after a wedding. Overall, the film was made so elegantly and aesthetically. Although many were against it at that time, now is highly recommended by movie critics. It is one of the best documentaries ever made that still teaches us how a man with perseverance and persistence could make a masterpiece, going against the mainstream, breaking the stereotypes with very limited gadgets. Even today, we follow his invented cinematic shots in filmmaking. In the British Film Institute's 2012 Sight and Sound poll, film critics voted it the 8th greatest film ever made, and it was later named the best documentary of all time in the same magazine. As a lover of cinema or aspirant filmmaker, one must watch this film in his life to feel the revelation of cinema and going beyond the boundaries. Even while watching the movie to make a review, I learned a lot of things that even a book couldn't teach me. So that's all for today. This is Aisha from DFM Jain University. See you in the next project. Thanks a lot for watching.